Hello. There. All right, how you doing, guys? Thank you guys for coming. I thank Xpo Canna. My name is Cody with Cannabis Connection Delivery Service here in Connecticut, which holds a provisional license to complete B2C cannabis deliveries. So we form limited partnerships with retailers in the state, and then we're able to complete deliveries to the consumer's home. Specifically, I would like to raise awareness as a problem that I see within the industry is a lack of access to cannabis for medicinal marijuana patients due to homebound seniors, veterans. You have other individuals that may, have some type of a medical ailment that like restricts them from leaving the house. So at that point in time, obviously, it's the doctor can prescribe the medicinal marijuana, and then the person can go home but not actually be able to leave and go to the store. So there's aside from being grateful that we can complete deliveries now, I do think that there's a lot of individuals that do need to be serviced prior to, I would say, like maybe the recreational side of things too, because I don't like seeing them medicinal marijuana patients being neglected. So I feel like just wanted to be able to raise some awareness on that and talk about it. Other than that, it's I can speak a little bit about the process of cannabis delivery. I don't know if anyone has questions or where I would like to go with it. I didn't really work out too much, but I just wanted to definitely raise awareness for the lack of access to cannabis. Anyone's had questions about cannabis delivery, how it works, what it does, what we do? More than happy to answer any questions. Turn it up. You guys can hear me? I don't know how to turn it up. Would you know how to turn it up back there? Or just speak louder into it? Is that a little bit better? All right, far up. All right, sorry about that, guys. You guys need me to repeat it or no? Okay, cool. All right, I appreciate it. Yeah, this is my first time doing it. I've never been in this type of setting. Richard, how you doing today? It was nice to see you come out. Nice to see you come out. Far out. How you doing? I'll see you after this too. That's something that we can touch on too, is technologies around cannabis delivery, specifically to age gate verifications. There's going to be things happening in the industry that we would like to be able to see allow us to be able to streamline the delivery process in terms of verification to which Richard Flow ID in order to be able to help out with that, with presenting that technology to see if we can do something with it in the cannabis space here, as I do believe it's being utilized in other industries such as alcohol in terms of providing safe and secure deliveries, and obviously the verification process of the individual receiving whatever product it may be. Obviously, in our case, it would be cannabis. So that would be something good to see this industry be able to dive into, but be able, see how we can best navigate it, right? And how it can be able to help us. Delivery, retail, I think it can be of a benefit too. So it would be nice to see where we can go with the delivery industry in terms of, just streamlining the process. Creating as less friction as we possibly can, so individuals can receive their cannabis goods. So that would be an amazing thing to see happen. Is there what's happening? So for our delivery service specifically, we will partner up with retailers, and then you will be able to place an online order via the dispensary's website. And at that time, you'll be able to select delivery, which will be relayed to us, and then we can complete the delivery. Excuse me. We're also working something out with those retail partners to be able to have the cannabis menu on our website. So you'll also be able to go to our website too and place an order, which will be specifically for delivery. Then we'll show up at your door. It's not going to be an Amazon style. We're not throwing a package at your door and bouncing. It's not going to happen. There's a level of verification at the time of delivery, which will consist of verifying the individual and ensuring that it's the same individual that placed the order at the time, through either website. So we do that. We collect payment at the time of delivery. We'll accept cash. We'll accept debit at the time of delivery. And we verify your identification. You receive your cannabis. Reese? That's a good process. So, or a good question, actually. So, current state law, there are instances where there could be caregivers for the individual that is utilizing the cannabis, right? At the moment, right now, I would say, when we roll out, we're going to require the individual that had placed the order to be there at the time to pick up the order. Would we like to be able to, get to the point in time where we can be able to accept the verification of the caregiver at the point of delivery, so then they can provide it to the individual that is in need of the cannabis? That's something that we would be able to work into. But initially, I'm going to say no with, initial rollout of it, just because I want to, I'm going to walk before I crawl, and I don't want to overstep any of the regulations that we have in place in Connecticut, given that how tight they are. So just want to be able to honor that, ensure that it's the same person that placed the order that's receiving delivery. So, good question. Yes.
Logistics of delivering cannabis, body care, dash care, second person. I picture it as being awkward, bulky. I'm also from Providence, so when I looked at this kind of service in Vassar, Rhode Island, I'm seeing like $125 minimum. You can find it at all. The person who delivers it is delivery driver slash butler, delivery driver slash driver, or something else. So at least up there, this never really got off the ground. Maybe there's progress. If so, is it logistically doable? Is it the kind of job that somebody?
Yeah, so that's actually a great question comparing it to Massachusetts. Similar licensing was handed out in Massachusetts, but very different in terms of business model for delivery operators up in Mass. Delivery operators up in Mass are allowed to warehouse their own cannabis distributed directly from their own facility. They were required to have 2 people in the vehicle while completing those deliveries. Law just passed that they will bump it down to 1, because obviously they were able to figure out that the cost associated with having a cannabis employee in general through the roof, right? Completing a least amount of deliveries, having to be required to have 2 people in the vehicle at all times was obviously hurting a lot of delivery operators out in Mass. The 100, however many minimums they have, $150, $115 for order. That's based on because they have an inventory. You know what I mean? So when we roll out for delivery, I'm not doing anything. I don't want to offer a minimum as a delivery service, but again, I'm having to form limited partnerships with dispensaries, which may want to set a minimum order because of the way the law is structured, and in terms of how we have to form partnerships and such like that. It makes it. The reason why they'd want to keep it as a certain minimum is because the cost to also pay a delivery service. So sometimes companies would say, okay, we want a $150 minimum because we know we're gonna have to pay a delivery service, and you know what, there's only the profit margin is varies between retailers and what they would like to distribute to. So definitely good question, but yeah, I feel for them up in Mass. I recently went up there to go visit Delivered Inc. up in Worcester. And I went up there and visited Ruben. He started his delivery service, I want to say it's about under a year now. And it was different to see how their business model is and their struggles up that way, and how they're conducting deliveries, for that. But it just seems like they did have different logistics. They were required body cams, 2 drivers. We don't have to wear body cams in Connecticut. We don't have to have 2 drivers in Connecticut. The only time we can have 2 drivers in Connecticut is we have over 2 pounds in the vehicle. Or if you have a transportation license, you're required to have 2 people in the vehicle. They still maintain the communication with the drivers to the dispatch center, which is also another. We have to make contact at the point of pickup, point of delivery, and then every half hour in between with our dispatcher at the location too. So logistically, there is a layer of logistics behind it, which is it's not DoorDash by any means. All of our drivers and vehicles are under the company. We don't have DoorDash is. The driver logs onto the app and he's able to, complete DoorDash deliveries that day and things like that, utilizing his vehicle. It's completely different for us here at the moment, given the current structure of the law. But it was a great question, though. I hope I was able to answer it for you. Is there any other questions? Cannabis delivery, what's happening?
So, do you have any fear the federal government coming at that service? Is it not federally state and region, correct?
Yeah. So there's obviously across the country, states have legalized cannabis for in a variety of different sectors within the industry. Yes, it is still an issue because it is viewed still scheduled as a Schedule 1 drug in, federal eyes, I don't worry. Oh, no, no, no. Well, I just wake up. Well, at the end of the day, we are heavily regulated within the state, right? We directly work with the state. We directly work with we're designated Department of Consumer Protection cannabis agents, which monitor our facilities and monitor our activities, everything down to banking, down to employees, down to records, down to, the safety and security of the vehicles, drivers, facility. I mean, we're heavily regulated within the state of Connecticut too, along with following all the procedures such as, just owning a normal business, business bank account, insurances, everything that we need to be able to, operate, legally under current state law. And then obviously on the sides of the federal side, it's not, but the only thing that I count on is, we're doing everything we're supposed to, given the current structure of Connecticut state law, which is what I would fall on. In terms of that. And hopefully we'll see some expansion or some talks about the maybe rescheduling of cannabis, on the federal level, which would do a lot for us in terms of, not having to continuously look over our shoulder or, be burdened with those things. Yeah, so we hope to get to that point. But at the moment, just doing everything that the state lays out for us in terms of regulations and making sure that we're adhering to those things at all times is how I sleep at night. Anything else from anyone in the audience? Nothing else? Anything else you would want to hear about cannabis delivery? Any questions you have about the industry here in Connecticut? Anything that I can be able to shed some light on within the industry here, guys? What's that? Since I'm an ancillary business, I don't store the cannabis. I don't do any of those things. So the taxes are going to be a little bit differently, structured a little bit differently for me compared to a plant touching business such as a cultivator or a retailer. So it's, a little bit different, but a little bit higher for them in a lot of instances. Yes. But this was great. I hope I could, maybe help a little bit out, with some questions or things you guys had. Yes. So I would assume that you're speaking in terms of how, as a delivery service, we would form partnerships with dispensaries in order to be able to complete deliveries, right? All right. So the structure of that is, I own this delivery license. I want to in the general lottery, 100% owner, just looking to build the company and see what the needs of the dispensaries are. So I'm not directly connected with any big corporations of like that, but some of the dispensaries out there are. So it has been a struggle at times to work with these big corporations that own these dispensaries, or the larger MSOs that are within Connecticut too. It's actually it hasn't been the easiest. I've had to get really creative in how I'm speaking with them, how I'm trying to present my service, and like getting their take on how they see it, operating. They've been in the industry a long time. A lot of the retailers out here, have sister stores and companies, so they know the process of it. But in terms of having to work with dispensaries to figure out maybe fee structures, about maybe per delivery fees and things like that. Certain retailers maybe feel certain ways about it, so it's been a little bit of a struggle. They all seem to have a different idea of how they would like to be able to pay out delivery services, and or obtain those services too. Again, the current structure of our law, we cannot warehouse the cannabis such as Massachusetts and deliver it directly from our facility. So we are required to obtain partnerships with a retailer, because at the end of the day, we can't deliver anything if it wasn't for them. So it has been a struggle with being able to reach out and talk to the right individuals that own those dispensary corporations and things like that, just to be able to see if we can come to terms on something, right? So it has presented a lot of logistical issues in that terms of forming those partnerships. So I'm a lot of cold calls. Let me tell you, trust me, a lot of people know my name around for sure, because I try to do that. Try to cold call, try to ask questions, try to find out who's who. You know what I mean? And it's a lot of talking, it's a lot of interaction with a lot of people, and some of it pays off, 100%. But yeah, that's a level to it. Literally trying to maybe go to events like this where I can be able to brush shoulders with some different people, right? And maybe see who's a who's who of who can make a call, right? You know what I mean? So that's been interesting, for me. But again, it still has, it's been really hard to be able to do that, because again, there's nothing in the law either that carves out a path for us delivery service operators of a direct connection to a dispensary. So it's literally leaving it all on us to say, how do you guys want to approach it? This is a business strategy at this point in time, right? Which I get that feeling at times. I'm not gonna spin around on that, but yeah, it's at times I do feel that way, and what can I be left with to do? I want to run this company. I want to be able to start this company. So I don't take it as a bad thing. I say, look, let me just get creative. How can we work together, right? What are the things that you're concerned about? Maybe what are my concerns? Maybe we can come to an agreement. Like that's what I can do. I see their point of it too, right? Maybe they're in a tough spot. Maybe their margins aren't big, right? Now they're having to go and introduce a delivery service, and that's going to cut into that too. So I understand it, but I'm more than happy to have those talks. But they are not the easiest conversations, I can tell you that right now. That was a great question, man. Thank you for that. Richard.
So what are you seeing in terms of dispensaries deciding themselves that within their own license they're going to do deliveries? Are any availing themselves of that?
Currently, yes, there are retailers. There's retailers and I believe micro cultivators that are allowed to complete their own deliveries now, utilizing their own employees, which is quite concerning, don't you say, being a delivery operator. So
that's micro cultivators means they have no storefront anywhere. Is that right?
Correct. That is correct. So if at the time being, if you're a micro cultivator, you can utilize your own employees to complete deliveries, essentially wiping out a delivery service operator, which is not what I believe the state had intended to do while creating these things. So we're going to try to work with some of our lawmakers in order to be able to get some of these things right, because we, as license holders in a newly licensed state, it's been 2 years for rec. I mean, granted, we've been going through it for medical. We know that there's things to work through. We understand that. There are problems. We do have to work with our state reps, the senators. We do have to work with the representatives to be able to go in, maybe readdress some of the language within the law, given the things that we know about this industry at this moment in time, something that we didn't know 2 years ago when this law was effect and when it was, when it was actually passed. So that's, those are some of the things that we gotta work on too, with it too. But yeah, there are some concerning things being a delivery operator in the state. It's just not as easy as everyone thinks. Having any cannabis establishment or holding any license within the state of Connecticut too. I mean, this is just like running any other business. And then, then getting into cannabis, everything's heightened in terms of, banking and what you got to do and the regulations and the costs and the tax and the fees. It's just, so much more heightened. But at the end of the day too, we're still just, we're trying to make ends meet. We're still trying to have a business. So hopefully we can work through some things to be able to, guide the lawmakers and such as to, what is beneficial, what we think is not, having a voice, definitely, something I want to be able to take part into. So appreciate the question. Yeah, that's a great question. We definitely come across that a lot. Unfortunately, there's still a huge stigma that's wrapped around cannabis within Connecticut, which is, it's still there. So obviously there's a lot of concern too is, okay, you're delivering weed. Who are you delivering it to? Are you, is there an age gate verification system in place at the time of delivery, right? So we are not delivering to anyone that's under 21 years old. We are ensuring that the person that placed the order has the order on the other side. So what I find the problem to be is the lack of, awareness as to how the technology works or how the process is. It's a new technology. You have a stigma around cannabis automatically. Okay, now you're going to throw a delivery in there to someone that doesn't necessarily, already has negative thoughts about cannabis, right? But being able to explain the process, I've noticed, a lot of people that go into it negative about cannabis, how's this going to happen? All the concerns that you had just, presented. Once we actually are able to explain, the processes and the verification, level verification that's in place when completing a cannabis delivery, a lot of people do come around once they gain that knowledge. So that's what I'm noticing too. Just being, if you don't know. A lot of people don't know. So sometimes they don't like what they don't know until they know about it. So we're going to have to go and outline that and how the process is in order to make people feel more comfortable. Everyone knows about Amazon. Deliveries, here to stay, obviously. But this is a new type of delivery, right? That I think a lot of people would be able to, benefit from, once we can get past that point too, because there's a lot of stigma that's like, will restrict a lot of people, will be skeptical about it, right? Or not want to, not want to support us because they don't believe the process that we have in place too. So just being able to explain what we have in place, the regulations, multi-step verification, time the order is placed, at the time delivery is completed, I've noticed, has definitely helped in being able to, explain to those people that have some skepticism, regarding. So I'll dip into some of the securities built, in and around cannabis delivery. So per state regulations, we have to outfit all of our vehicles with a secure cannabis compartment within the vehicles at all times. It's, always secured in there. It's always accompanied by a manifest that's generated at the time of delivery. We also have GPS systems on every single one of our vehicles, which allows us to have tracking, whether the vehicle's off, the vehicle's on, at any point in time. We know where those drivers are. We know where they're going for their deliveries. And then it also, it gives us full control of knowing where they are, knowing what's going on. And, these aren't drivers selling weed on a corner. These aren't drivers meeting you at your bus stop or doing, something like that. These are drivers that are, everything's monitored, everything's accounted for prior to the driver even hitting the road, in terms of that. So yeah, I would say, because, there's, where the person is, obviously when they walk into the dispensary, they give their identification, medical card if necessary. But yeah, the level of delivery, we know, we know a lot about it, given the technologies that are required to be in place to complete deliveries, of cannabis. So what's happening? Schedule 1. Federal level, yes. Yes, it's scheduled in the same class as the, you're right, and so I'm glad that you were able to see that, because that is a concern. There are obviously pharmaceutical deliveries happening in the state of Connecticut, which are right. So what I can say is I appreciate the question. I do hope that, as I said earlier, we are still, this is 2 years new. Pharmacy delivery has been going on for a lot longer than 2 years, right? So that's what they have against us. They've been completing it a lot longer. They have a better grasp on the industry, all right? So what I would say is hopefully we can get to that moment in time. But yeah, you see a pharmacy car that has their logo all around it. Well, for cannabis delivery, we can't have a logo anywhere near our logo or vehicle or anything of that nature, right? I do have some personal friends that own pharmacies, and I've discussed cannabis, cannabis delivery along with their own deliveries that they complete from their own pharmacies, and legalities in and around that too. And they do vary. I don't quite understand the delivering of opioids is, I'd say that should be a lot more secure than cannabis delivery too. I mean, it should be all secured. It should be all regulated, but that does raise a good point, as to, just deliveries, of certain. Right, right. I mean, yeah, we would definitely like to see the industry be able to, again, we'd have to change some of the language of the law, at least work with lawmakers to be able to express, some of the concerns or, some of the flaws that are in the language. And it's new. We're going to hopefully get to that point in time where we can do that. But that was a great question because you're right. Yes, there's deliveries happening in the state for, a different type of substance, from pharmacies. But it's, they're governed by different rules and regulations. So maybe we'll get to that point in time. So hopefully we'll keep continuing to, what's happening. I'd say it's going to be pretty close to the same, but maybe it would help, right? Maybe it would help. Maybe at that point in time, it just wouldn't be looked at as, still have that stigma built around it. So I'd say it would be a good start, like a nice step in the right direction. So I can admit that. And from there, I guess we're going to have to see as, time goes on. So technically, that was a good question also. Technically, by law, towns can limit cannabis establishments, meaning retail stores, cultivators, and even other types of businesses in the cannabis industry, does not limit us from delivering to any town in the state of Connecticut, whether they have a ban or not on cannabis establishments. So, well, yeah, yes. Absolutely, absolutely. And that's, delivery, there's only 2 active operators right now in the state of Connecticut. So once we start going and we start expanding, we want to be able to expand our delivery areas, so the amount of vehicles that we have to be able to do that, because we want to be able to reach you. That's the whole point of it too. You get a lot of individuals maybe in the town that you live that are prescribed medicinal marijuana. They don't have access to it. Exactly what I was trying to bring up in the, in the very beginning too. So PTSD, this is where you at. You have, socially too, it could be a little awkward sometimes going to dispensaries. Not the easiest setting, or maybe some people are have some anxiety built in and around that, right? So yes, definitely through delivery, we're looking to be able to help that. So, but it doesn't limit us, so that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So, you got a question back there? That's another very good question. For individuals that would like to be able to get started in this industry, specifically the cannabis industry here in Connecticut, we'll just speak on it as not just in specific in terms of delivery, but just in total, trying to get into this cannabis industry here is pretty tight. It's pretty tight. It's honestly, it's not an easy thing to get into. They may be doing another lottery possibly later on this year in terms of issuing additional cannabis licenses. As to what licenses and how that lottery will work, I don't know. But currently at this moment in time, the lottery that had happened a couple years ago, those are the license holders. Those are the licenses that are out there right now. In order to get into the industry at this moment in time, it would take partnering up maybe with one of those individuals that had a license for you to do that, until the state would potentially, possibly, offer more cannabis industry licenses for members of the community to be able to apply for. Hope I answered that.
There are a number of licensees that are warehousing their license, so if you are interested in that, they're always going to be for sale. But I've seen maybe 4 or 5 in the delivery side, and I imagine there's the
So that's it. Yeah, that's accurate to say that there's individuals out there that have been, have certain licenses that may be able to, you can partner up with to do something. But at the moment, for going to apply right now for additional licenses, there's nothing that, to my knowledge, for you to go and gain a new cannabis license in Connecticut at the moment in time. What's happening back there? That's also a good question. So once we get rolling for individuals that would utilize our service and would potentially need to cancel an order, we would have them, direct the individual to be able to call the originating establishment that the order was placed in. along with calling us, and we can also facilitate, reconciling any canceled orders with the originating establishment too, if you guys were to need that. So it can happen on both ends. It can happen with, let's say, you called it, go onto this retailer's website, your delivery's coming, you went through the whole process, you set out your time, your desired delivery date, and time, and you no longer wanted your cannabis delivery, you will be able to call that facility. Hopefully you do it prior to us picking up the delivery would be nice. But if you don't, we can still work through that. But yeah, contacting the originating establishment, notifying them of the canceled order, in which they can relay it to us, and then we can go and reroute the order where we will have to bring it back to the originating establishment. Or again, you can call our company that's completing deliveries, and we'll be able to facilitate that for you too. That was a good question. Appreciate it. So that was really productive, guys. I was really glad that everyone had something to engage. So that was really nice. Is there any other questions regarding cannabis delivery or the industry? Things that you guys want to know, see, hear, do? It's all good. If not, you guys can always go to ctcannabisconnection.com. That's our website. You can always sign up for updates and everything like that. We'll give you a notice of when we're going to get going on deliveries. So hopefully it'll be soon. We're waiting on one final approval, which will allow us to get operating. So I'm really, really happy about that. I'm looking forward to it. It's been an experience. I just hope to keep on growing and see the industry grow and see where, we can best, help. I'm really grateful to have the delivery license too. But again, there's going to be, again, the medicinal marijuana, patients that have lack of access to medicine, is a huge problem for me. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen how detrimental it is to not be able to obtain medicine, or let's say use cancer as an example. Cancer is it's vicious. And, for an individual going through chemo in certain instances, they go through a great deal of pain. And, many of those individuals in that situation cannot leave their house to be able to obtain cannabis, something that their oncologist doctor would some wholeheartedly believe in. So I just feel like there's a lot of people that can be able to benefit, obviously, from benefits of cannabis, and then having the access to it at their home. So appreciate you guys coming to the speaking event. I was concerned. I didn't think anyone was going to show up because it was the last speaking one. But I appreciate it, guys. I really do. Anytime you ever see me, just I'm not shy. Come up to me and ask me whatever. It's all good. I appreciate it. So thank you guys again. So thank you.